The society, okay, the society of in Arabia was in nomadic in the 5th century. So in this, the Mecca was called Yathrib at the time. Yathrib was the only one of the civilized places. So where they had 360 idols, uh, and they worshipped people who worshipped with great devotion. They were mostly called pagans. The worshippers of idols got called pagans in general. So during the time in 570 CE, Muhammad was born. Muhammad, Prophet of Islam was born, and in his 25th year, he went to Syria and he learned about Christianity. Then he meditated and informed people that he had vision of God. Anyway, that whole story of Muhammad is not needed here. And he got married to Khadija, one of the wealthy women who was 45 when he was a young man, and he was she was a widow, rich widow, as I said. So he got the wealth from her. He inherited wealth from her after her death. He started to spread Islam with wealth and also with power of sword. It went on. Initially, he propagated with peace. Later, because there was idols, and then he had to run away from Makkah to Medina. There, he didn't find much resistance, and he converted only a few of them. Then, Medina back to Mecca, he went and destroyed temples, the temple of Kaaba, where these idols were there. And unfortunately, the Sangh Parivar believes that breaking of idols is un-Islamic, but this is a fact that it is not un-Islamic, it is Islamic, because Muhammad himself set an example by breaking the 360 idols of Kaaba. And the Manat was one such idol which they believe has been taken out from the temple, and it ended up in Somnath. So that's the reason why you see Muhammad Ghazni would attack so many times until he destroyed that idol, and then it was brought back again. It was raised by Hindus once again. Then it was again destroyed, again raised. So it went on. The whole destruction again and again. It went on. Now it's very good temple stands in Somnath. The Jyotirling is still there, so it will continue to dwell, whatever it is. So that is one thing. Then you see this how Islam came to India. Before that, it went to Central Asia. So from Turkey and Central Asia, they were the Turks. So there was a war this with China, because China also exerted influence in Central Asia. Arabs and Chinese fought, and China was defeated. Then Arabs could Islamize Central Asia, Turkey and other places. Of course, from there, Central Asians also Islamized. Then they fought with Afghan ruler at the time, uh, was a Brahmin, and then he was a descendant of Kalar. So unfortunately, the Brahmin king, lost the war in 711 CE. So Muhammad bin Qasim was the one who ruled Sindh for 5 years after he was, because his daughters went to he was of the spoils. Two daughters of the late king Dahir were sent as prized gifts to Khalifa. So of course, I wrote about Caliphas also, and then spread of Islam into Arabia, into uh, from Arabia to Iran, and from Iran to Spain and other places in Europe till France. And France, King Charles Martel defeated them. Then in Africa also they went on destruction in Egypt and other places. So this within 100 years of Muhammad's death, they did a lot of commotion. They also came to Central Asia. So they did all this within very short time, and this is how the initial spread of Islam went on. All these things you can read in my book. I'm not going in detail about it. Then how these people came to India. This is the way how they came. And then because till then no Indian would ever fight a battle against the rules. There are a lot of rules set. Even I explained those rules that you should. One who is on fighting on elephant will fight someone who is on the elephant. Someone who is fighting cavalry, cavalry will fight cavalry. Foot will fight foot. Then chariots will fight chariots. So archers fight archers. Then swordmen fight swordmen. So this was the case, and they would have a lunchtime. They would have evening break. So and everything was like a sport. It was more of a sport rather than more of a war. So they would take the opponent when he was injured to get him nursed. So all these things were there, but it didn't. Uh, it was not the rule for Muslims when they invaded. So this army, when they fought without rules, and they also kidnapped, raped, and they did every other kind of barbarity. So I address them as barbarians because this is not a regular army, and regular armies do not do it. It's only terrorists who would do this sort of things. So these terrorists whom they call themselves sultans, have did this mischief. So once the two girls of Dahir were sent as spoils, these two virgins, they said that they were connected with Muhammad bin Qasim. So enraged, the Khalifa sent message that he should sue himself in ox hide and come over to see Khalifa. So which he did. And then the girls told the truth that they were not connected with him, and they stabbed each other and died. So that's how the first invasion and ended up. And this opened the eyes of all the kings that these barbarians have to be pushed away from India. So in 711 in Sindh, the people revolted and destroyed the barbarians and brought back freedom. So for next 300 years, we don't see any big army coming in. It's thanks to son of Dahir who met Bappa Rawal, and Bappa Rawal then decided to attack with huge force. He also went on to destroy a lot of Muslim kingdoms, and he married a lot of. He took many women as his wives, and he lived for 100 years. And then, since then, every 50 kilometers there was a outpost, which guarded and sent messages to nearest kingdom whenever these Muslims would come. So this vigilant nature has warded off Islamic invasion for next 300 years. But after that, our unity was spoiled. And then when Muhammad Muhammad Ghazni invaded, we were divided. So then 17 times of Muhammad's invasion has also been explained, the society at the time, and then the background of Muhammad. He is a Turk, and he imprisoned and killed Ismail, the son of Sabuktigin, in 997, and then he crowned himself as Sultan in Afghanistan. Afghanistan had some parts of uh, Muslim rule. Still, it was some parts were still with Hindus, so they fought. Kabul was still under Hindus, so they fought, and then they lost. So this went on. Uh, sorry, the descendant of Kallar was the one who fought against Muhammad Ghuri. Sorry, Muhammad Ghazni. Muhammad Ghazni is the first one. Yes, he's called Amir Muhammad, and I've also got reference. He had 500 bards in his court, and all the 500 bards wrote about India. So he was a poet too. And then one of the chronicles wrote saying that they had seen a house of silver made of silver, which was looted from India, and this uh, one could be removed and fixed again. And the cloth which they have seen, the old people, they said they have never seen such fine embroidered silk in their lives. So this is something which um, we should be proud of, as our ancestors have managed to get without any modern machinery. They managed to do all this, and we lived such a rich life which has been looted and looted again. So this temple destruction, the destruction of forts, everything. And these barbarians, and Woodby also wrote that the barbarians never learnt more than 1000, and they were astonished about astrology, astronomy, and other things which they found very interesting, and the mathematics knowledge which these Muslims claim that zero has been given by us. No, it's not given by you. It has already been existing since time of Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta was the one who said this is called a zero and this should be used in so and so. Zero is an Arabic word definitely, but Shunya was the name, Sanskrit name given, and then you converted it into zero, and that's how this zero entered the Western world from Arab. So from Arabia. So this mathematics and other things, and then it talks about architecture, the wealth which Kanauj had, because Kanauj has been seen as one of the Kanauj was the center because Harshavardhana ruled in the empire of Harshavardhana. Uh, Center was in Kanauj. It was not Delhi. Delhi was never center of India's Hindu history. Delhi was only during the short time of Yudhishthira when he had built this Indraprastha. But again, he ruled once the Kurukshetra war was over. He again ruled from Hastinapura, not from from Indraprastha. Of course, they would have it as because that was their traditional capital. So they went to Hastinapur. Anyway, after this invasion, again we will talk about. I spoke about number of kingdoms that existed, their unity and disunity when Ghori Muhammad came to India. Then Prithviraj was ruling Delhi and Jayachandra was ruling. The Gandhara family was ruling. The Kanauj was ruled by Jayachandra. Anyway, this is not true that Jayachandra invaded Gori. It was in fact the Hindus foolishly whom they worship at Ajmer. That Salim Chisti was the one who said who wanted uh, Prithviraj to be overthrown because some people converted to Islam and this Salim Chisti was demanding kind of favors for these new converts, and then which Prithviraj refused as a good king, and therefore he invited Ghori, and 17 times according to some, and some say 7 times. So I wrote 7 times. Ghori was defeated. It's not 2 times as the British or the Western historians they present it in that way, but that is not true. So let me say a little bit about the other kings also. The Chendelas ruled Bundelkhand and Kalachuris ruled Chedi and Palas ruled North Bangla. The Sena kingdom also ruled Bangla. Anhilapuram is Patan, now in Gujarat. That was ruled by Bhimadeva. So he's from Chalukya family. Then you have got Mewar kingdom, which was Samar Singh according to Colonel Todd. Anyway, he was the ruler, and then Ajmer and Delhi were with Ajay Meru was the original name, and it's called Ajmer, which could be again a corrupted form given by Turkish invaders, which is possible. So it is ruled by Prithviraj, because his grandfather's kingdom was Delhi from Tomar, that is Tuvar family. So anyway, the Samyukta story also is there in Prithviraj Raso. But anyway, I believe that he also had a son Govind Chandra. He was ruling in Rajasthan. So Ranthambore was the place where he was ruling. Then we see in 1192, Battle of Staneshwar, that is terrain, goes on, and Prithviraj, according to the tradition, we believe that he has been blinded and then put in jail. Chand Bhatt was the one who went and he spoke about the height in which Gori is sitting. Then Prithviraj killed him. Later on, both killed each other. But according to another version, Gori, after blinding Prithviraj, came back to India. And then he defeated Jayachandra, king of Kannauj, and Rajputs of family members of Jayachandra, the Gahadawara Rajputs, they went to Rajasthan. So they founded Mandoor, which is present Marwar. Then Shahabuddin made one of his governors, Kutubuddin, who was a slave of Ilabari Turk, and then he was ruling Delhi at the time. So he marched to Chittorgarh, and then his armies were defeated by Karuna Devi. She is the queen of Chittor, which no historian would talk, because Muslims were thoroughly defeated by Mewar kings, Mewar queen. So Khilji. Then Bakhtiyar Khilji was another general who won North Bihar and destroyed Buddhist university at Uddandapur, and Viraha Buddhists were put to death. Uddandapur and Viraha Buddhists were put to death. Library was burnt in 1203. Then he also won Ayodhya and Bengal. 2012, sorry, 1202 CE. One of the two brothers is Ghazzuddin, because they ruled jointly. Ghazzuddin and Shahabuddin. This is the only time the Muslims had shown some love and affection towards their brothers. This is the only time the two kings ruled the same country. So that is Shahabuddin Ghori and Ghazzuddin Ghori. Shahabuddin remained king while Ghazzuddin died in 1202 CE. Ghori came to Punjab in 1206, defeated a sect called Ghakkars or Kokars, and converted them to Islam. You still see some Kokars in Pakistan, but also in India as Hindus. So he converted them to Islam, and while coming back to Afghanistan, he halted in bank of Sindhu at a village called Rohtak. Gang of Ghakkars wanted to avenge defeat and also murdered Gori. So this is how uh, it was. And then the Barbarians, how they won is they never they never fought properly. They used treachery to win. They emptied our tanks. They poisoned our water, and then they used religious fanatism. And then they used more archery, which Indians were not used to. So it inflicted more misery on the people who were as the army was approaching. So on the enemies. So that's how they won. And then our elephants were frightened by the enemy, and the elephants fled. So that's how it was. And now the second chapter is slave dynasty, which I'm going to talk in the next video.